There was just a handful of transactions that I would stop in a few weeks before closing from one home to the next, and I could feel the stress of the parents, like moving, packing. I could feel the kids kind of acting out, and I wanted to be helpful. I didn't know how, so this is kind of where the book came from.
I'm here today with Rosie Choromanski from our Maple Grove office. Rosie is approaching her 4-year anniversary. I can't believe it's already been 4 years with RE/MAX results, but she's been a realtor for almost 12 years now. Rosie, you every year you're platinum or above. Just recently, you were awarded the RE/MAX Hall of Fame, which is a career level award. So congratulations. But there's another thing that we're going to talk about today too, and that's a book that you've been working on. So I'm really excited to dive into that and learn a little bit more about you and hear about this book that you're launching. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how did you? Let's talk a little bit about where did you grow up? Are you Minnesota native?
I am. I grew up in the ideal suburban neighborhood in Coon Rapids, Minnesota.
Awesome.
With the best friend down the block type situation where just spent a ton of time outside, playing sports and just coming in.
Is that where you went to high school?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. And then how, fast forward into, so you've been a realtor for 12 years. How did you get into real estate? What were you doing before real estate?
Well, I went to St. Cloud State University. I have a degree in recreation sports management.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay.
Yep. Right out of college, I manage a sports bar in Maple Grove called Mama G's.
Okay.
So I managed sand volleyball leagues and broomball leagues and the bar for about 10 years.
Okay.
And in that time, I did purchase a townhome and was just kind of looking for a transition job. And in the purchase of that property, just kind of dove in to home ownership and just really appreciated.
And you got your start at Edina Realty, actually.
I did.
You had great experience. You had some fun.
I had
things to
a
say.
great experience. I did.
Yeah. And when you came over to RE/MAX Results, you kind of moved simultaneously with Amy St. Martin.
I did.
I know a lot of times people think the two of you are a team. You're team in that you're really good friends. You're
Correct.
close.
Yep.
But
And we do help each other a lot in our business. So
Yeah.
I think it does take a village to have a successful real estate career, and having backup or friends or colleagues to kind of bounce ideas off of is huge.
Absolutely. Before we dive into the book, I want to talk a little bit about Rosie the Realtor. So, Rosie, everybody knows, when they say, what's her last name? It's Choromanski. But everybody knows Rosie the Realtor. You've done a really great job of that branding. And has that always been your branding?
Yeah, it maybe middle 5 years into real estate. I mean, I've been an advocate of I loved history class. Maybe that one day we learned about Rosie the Riveter.
And now you have your van, your white van with the red ribbon.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows you've just done a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
And you've tied that into the new book, the children's book that you're launching. Yep. So by the time this podcast is airing, I know many of our listeners probably will have seen some stuff that you've shared or launched with this children's book. Talk about that.
So yeah, I about maybe 5-6 years ago just had this idea for a book after kind of being a part of multiple transactions with young families in the transition and moving from one home to the next. And I would say that I'm a very relationship-based agent where I get pretty involved in my clients' lives and want to be helpful. And there was just a handful of transactions that I would stop in a few weeks before closing from one home to the next, and I could feel the stress of the parents moving, packing. I could feel the kids kind of acting out, and I wanted to be helpful. I didn't know how. So this is kind of where the book came from.
I think I remember you first talking about it at least a couple years ago, and it was just an idea. And then when I'd see you in passing at an event and you would say, it's happening, and now here we are. And and I got a chance to just read it recently, and it's a children's, it's meant for, actually, what I think, it's realtors are going to buy this book and give it to their clients, especially with little kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's to help calm fears, explain, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal. And it reading it, actually, I got a little emotional when I read it because we've all been there, you know?
Yeah, I hope it gives the opportunity to, like, parents and sit down with their children, and I'm picturing it at bedtime. And, you know, that just connection piece at the end of the day to check in. I hope that it gives parents the opportunity to say, like, it's okay that this is sad, and, like, they can talk about and celebrate the good memories in the home while they're still there, especially in the transition of, like, talking about packing and being sad that we're leaving the neighbors, but this isn't goodbye.
Right.
And then transitioning into potentially, like, what we get to look forward to in our next home.
And picking out the new rooms and, you know, everything.
New colors and
the new color.
getting to create. So
yeah, it takes
I hope it can be useful.
And
I wrote the book with the intent that I could give it to my clients. And I felt once I had the right village with my publisher and illustrators, I was like, I think people are actually going to buy this.
people are going to buy this.
And it could be really useful beyond just my little village of people.
I think realtors will buy it in bulk. And
I hope so.
Use it.
And I also, like, my mortgage, like, loan officer and inspection companies, and I work with a moving company, like, and I brought up the book, and they're like, we'd love to have a box. So I do think this could maybe be more useful than I even thought.
So the book is called Moving. And where can listeners find more information about the book?
There will be a website, movingwithrosie.com.
Movingwithrosie.com. That'll probably be live by the time this podcast airs.
So that's in the works at the moment.
Yeah.
I will, before probably the podcast comes out, have a Kickstarter with some pre-sales.
Yep.
But my hope is at some point next year in 2025, it will be on Amazon. And then I guess we'll just see where the growth of the book goes. I can imagine it being, like, in little gift shops of, like, where you go and buy a gift for someone that's moving. I, like, hope to be to a point where it gets to be there.
Who helped you along the way? And, you know, you're kicking butt and selling a lot of real estate. You're a busy realtor running, you know, and here you are with the side gig of publishing a book. You must have had some resources or help along the way. Is there anyone that you want to?
Yeah, for sure. Well, all of my friends and family that I've talked about this for years with,
Yeah.
everyone's like, this is a great idea. I think that's maybe the first that no one told me not to do it. But I had interviewed a few people and, like, local authors that I know have written books, and just kind of talked about my idea. But I finally met my publisher. Her name is Lindsay Bednar. Her publishing company is called Rodney K. Press, and she actually lives in my hometown of Andover. And we met one day at the Starbucks in the Target in our local Andover town. And it was just a moment that I, like, left, and I knew, like, she was the right one to help. So with that, she just got me set up. She helped with the manuscript and then set me up with illustrators, which we started with one that lived in London and ended up needing a little more help in the end with one that lives in Michigan. So it's been just kind of this cool transition and side world that was super fun to get to know and figure out, and very different than real estate.
Now that you've done it, do you think that you'll ever do a book number 2? Are you getting that question yet?
I am. I think that this will grow into something more, and I don't know if it's another book, but I do think that Moving with Rosie has a lot of opportunity that I'm going to dig into.
Yeah.
So I do, with my other social media platforms, I think it'll be a great opportunity to kind of bring everything together. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity to help people with this big transition in life. So
I love that. So that, I mean, I always like to talk about goals. So goals for 2025. I mean, this goal of this publishing this book was a really big one that took you years. But do you have kind of that next big hairy goal that you're thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the book, like, hopefully putting some systems into place so I can successfully get the book out, but also allow me to still do real estate as I want to and still let that business grow as it should.
Yeah.
Which would mean that I should spend more time putting more systems into place so that can all happen.
On the real estate side of things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real estate. Share with the listeners some services that you provide. What makes you different? I can already think of one. It's on the back cover of your book.
Yeah.
But, what are some services that you provide to clients?
Yeah. So I think what makes me different, or just a different realtor, is I'm very relationship based, and I want to work with my clients to best fit their needs.
Yeah.
And for example, in listing a property, feeling out their comfort and getting their house prepared for the market, and just being straightforward and honest with if they don't want to remove everything, how do we work with their comfort level? So I always do a could, should, to-do list to get top dollar for your home when I help my clients list.
Could, should, to-do list.
Yep.
Okay.
So you could and should do this, but if you don't want to, I want to work with you to make sure that this is comfortable.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
With that said, I do a lot of personal staging to a point that most realtors, when they see my listing photos, know that is probably my listing. Mm-hmm. And
it has the rosy touch.
It does have a rosy touch.
Yeah.
Usually, maybe a little more color.
Your photos too, though. I mean, you do a great job.
Yeah. Well,
photography.
Thank you.
Yeah. So.
And then I do have a complimentary moving van that I do let my clients use, and I let them use it during the transaction. If they're needing to pick up a piece from Marketplace, I want the van used as much as possible. So.
I bet that's pretty popular.
Yeah. There are times where I wish it was more, but even my neighbors use it and my family uses it, so it's great.
I'm going to use it.
Okay. You can use it whenever you want.
What's your favorite way of keeping in touch with your clients?
Social media is probably the
number one,
best and easiest and number one way that I keep in touch.
Okay. Which platform mostly? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram goes directly to my Facebook. So I use that kind of simultaneously.
Yep.
And I try my best to...
You do reels mostly? Do you a mix of reels and posts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there an algorithm that you follow? Do you have someone else that does your social media for you, or do you do it yourself?
No, I have a lot of people that ask that. And they ask if I schedule them. And it's all me in moment.
And that's the way it should be,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because I've seen some scheduled posts come out at the wrong time, too. You never know what's going on in the world these days.
Post at 8 a.m. I've seen it.
That was
for sure scheduled.
On a Sunday, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's good. So you do that all on just on the fly.
I do.
And you're consistent with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be key if someone wanted to start using social media, is to be consistent. Yeah. But also be authentic with it.
What's your favorite apps? Do you any particular social media apps for video editing or anything like that? Or did you
just for the reels, I just go directly into Instagram.
Through Instagram's own feature?
Yeah. And then I think it's Unfold that I use. I haven't really dug super into Canva, but I feel like Unfold is probably the easiest to set up new listings and multiple pictures in one post, and they make it pretty seamless.
And social media, does that work for you for lead gen also, besides keeping in touch with clients, or do you do something different to generate and grow your sphere or grow your leads?
I would say social media is
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
I think referral based, that my referrals go to my social media, probably build some confidence in. I think we should at least call her.
That's cool.
She seems like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. You have a very, authentic, sincere approach on social media. So that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 12 years. 12 years. I can't believe you've been in, you look like you're 28.
Yeah. I am. Can I be 28 again, please?
Yeah, me too. So what is, thinking back to when you got into real estate, is there anything that you knowing now you would have done differently? Or simultaneously, would come across as advice to people who are new in the business that might be listening?
I feel like in the growth of my business and like the book and buying the moving van and an investment property and all the things that have kind of come along with this 12 years in real estate, that I think I'm a huge believer, advocate in where your energy is, like you will be successful. And I think at the beginning part of real estate, I did not have the confidence. And it took me a really long time. Like, I don't think I went full time for 4 years.
Okay.
So if I could go back to day one, I think I would have jumped in sooner. And because there are times where I had 2 part-time, a full-time, and trying to build my real estate career, where if I could kind of take that time back, I think I could be probably even more busy, or my business would look a little bit different today. So I think just believing in yourself and finding the right village or brokerage to kind of support you, I think would be huge in those first few years of real estate.
That's good advice. How do you consider yourself different from other realtors in how they run their business?
Like kind of going back to that relationship-based business style. I guess I wrote an email last night it was a referral client, and they were very honest that they were interviewing other agents. And they were like, we're just throwing out emails and seeing who best fits. And I just was super honest. I was like, if personally and professionally, I think you should meet the person, like if you're thinking about 2 or 3, meet them in person and let them know that I hope by the end of the transaction that they feel like we're friends or family. And even after the transaction, if they need help with a fix of their furnace or decor, or they just have a question about how to fix their clogged drain, anything, I hope they would feel comfortable to contact me.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good answer. What do you do when you're not writing books and when you're not selling real estate and running around professional? Is there anything that you like to do to unwind?
I think spending time with my friends and family are number one for sure. I'm a definite foodie and like to try out all the new restaurants in town, and I've definitely gotten some steps in and go hiking a lot, and
that's good.
Kind of absorb our 4 seasons in the state. So,
that's good. Good for you.
Yeah, stay active.
Is there anyone that you would like to? You're still young in your career, but is there anyone that's really made an impact, whether it's a coach or a mentor, a manager, or someone along the way that you'd like to honor and give thanks to?
Yeah, and thinking about the answer to this question, I grew up playing really competitive sports and was like a year-round active child. And
what sports?
Soccer and basketball mainly.
Okay.
Yeah. So year-round traveling, I kind of feel bad for my parents now that I see all these busy parents every weekend. I'm like, how are they doing that?
Yeah.
But I had a handful of coaches, and I think it is amazing when kids can have that and be on teams and are shown leadership from other adults other than their teachers and their parents. So I don't have one in particular, but there were a handful of coaches that cheered me on and believed in me and gave me opportunities to be a leader.
And obviously influenced your degree.
Yeah, for sure. Like I thought for sure I would be organizing kids activities forever because I had that opportunity as a kid. And I felt like it kept me out of trouble and kept me around kids with similar hobbies and stuff. But if anything, I look back and they were people in my life I didn't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
And I think the more people in your life at a really young age that you want to show their hard work is worth it, I think was key into me getting my degree. But to this day, they're still cheering me on, which has been pretty great.
let's talk a little bit more about real estate. What keeps you inspired in real estate? Because it's not always rosy.
No, it's not.
Sorry. I mean, in your world, it's always rosy.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what I mean.
I'll try my best.
What inspires you?
There are a few things that has kept me inspired in my real estate career, and I think it's these relationship type moments. I think it's going to a showing and my client's kids super excited to see me and like jump out of the car and be like, we can't wait to hang out with Rosie. We're actually trying to sell you a house, but we're still hanging out. Even this past year, there's been a few pretty emotional moments helping like an older adult downsize and like help them with the transition of leaving the 30 to 50 year home and getting that hug on closing day and just them kind of like feeling like they probably couldn't have done it without me.
Yeah. It's more than just helping them sell a home. It's a life transition.
Yeah. And then I've had countless moments with like dear friends and my cousins and families that I'm close with that I wouldn't have had this time getting to know their kids or getting this extra time with my college roommate, with their family. Like sometimes it takes a year to find them a home. So it makes me realize how special this career is, that it isn't just, I always say it's just not a job, it's a lifestyle. So
it is.
Yeah.
Who would you like to give thanks to? Is there anyone you'd like to honor?
Yeah. I'd like to, if there was one person in my life that I can look back to now, it would be my dad, Bruce.
Okay.
And a few reasons why would be that he's a very detailed person, but as like a real estate agent and his daughter, like he lives in a very like non-disposable life, that everything that he has, he worked very hard for, and he acts like it will never go away. He takes care of his things, so his pride of ownership in his home has always been top key, and he's always made sure that I knew how to take care of something.
Yeah.
So I was the kid that was changing oil in my own tires, and he wants to make sure, like when he comes over and my furnace filter isn't changed, I know about it. So, but it's stuff that I now can look back and I don't take for granted, that I think it's made me a very like detailed person and want to take care of the things in my life. And if it's relationships or my home or making sure someone else needs to know that their furnace filter needs to be changed. Yeah. We let
your
them know.
dad.
That's my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a nutshell.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for you beyond real estate? I mean, do you have any goals?
I'm really going day by day right now.
Everybody says that when I ask that question. They're always like, Brenda, can we just keep it till like
figure out lunch
next week? You're trying to figure out lunch.
No, if there is one thing beyond just selling real estate, I would love to get into some short-term rentals, like some VRBO.
Yeah.
If I would love to find a place out of state and maybe in state, and maybe have a potential vacation
Investment
home.
properties.
Yeah,
It's always a good goal. Yeah.
Yep, I do have one that I rent out yearly, like on a year lease, but a little VRBO I think would be super fun to decorate and make great for guests. So I hope I can add that in, but going back to the moving with Rosie and the platform, I hope to, beyond the book, let it be a platform where people can go to if they're having a tough time with the move process with their children. So I hope that can grow beyond the book. And I hope I can have the energy, and if it's meant to be something, it can be everything it can be and more.
I think that the book could just become a staple, even if it's not a tough time. That book might help avoid the tough time.
Yeah, for sure. I hope
Yeah.
that's the case. It could help with the conversations before.
So you're easy to find, Rosie the Realtor.
Yep. Google Rosie the Realtor. You'll find me.
They'll find you. And your book coming out is called Moving. And congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.